Good evening. My name is Annette Mills, and on behalf of the Corvallis Sustainability Coalition and Seeds for the Soul, I want to welcome you to tonight's event. And we are so glad that you're here because it's incredibly important for all of us to be making the shift from fossil fuel generated energy to energy efficient homes and renewable energy. And we're here tonight to help you do that by updating you on current funding opportunities. And my feeling is we're awfully lucky to be living in Oregon because both the state and a lot of nonprofit organizations in Oregon are making it possible for people to still take advantage of some funding opportunities. So just by a show of hands, how many of you are at a Sustainability Coalition event for the first time? Anybody? Okay, all right. We've got a few folks. Well, welcome. And welcome to the old timers, too, who have been here before. So for those of you who may not be familiar with the coalition, I want to give you just a little bit of background. Our mission is to promote an ecologically, socially, and economically healthy city and county. And we are a network of nearly 400 partner organizations, including the city, the county, OSU, the school system. As you can see here, lots of businesses and nonprofits, as well as schools and other education-related organizations, 18 faith communities, and 10 government entities. We also have hundreds of volunteers, many of whom serve on our 12 action teams. And one of those action teams is our Energy Action Team. 3 years ago, our Energy Action Team launched an initiative called Shift Together, which is designed to help everyone in our community make the shift from fossil fuel-based energy to energy efficiency and renewables. So tonight we're going to be hearing from 2 of our Energy Action Team members who have been instrumental in helping our community shift together. So here is our agenda for the evening. We will begin by hearing presentations by Nancy Evanson and Julie Williams. Then we'll open the floor to your questions, both written and oral, so whichever you're more comfortable with, we'll give you that opportunity. And then we'll close the evening by giving you a chance to chat informally with Nancy and Julie and their team. So you can get a little bit more one-on-one attention. So let me tell you a little bit more about Nancy and Julie, and I've not checked this out with them, so I hope everything I'm saying is true. Nancy Evanson is a retired architect who developed a program called Home Retrofit Clinics, through which she has assisted middle and upper income homeowners. Nancy provides free, personalized, 2-hour Zoom consultations that are focused on a home's current energy use, and she then helps each of her clients chart a path away from fossil fuels and toward energy efficiency and renewable energy. And as you can see here, since 2021, she has helped more than 150 households assess their energy needs. Julie Williams is a retired teacher who started a nonprofit called Seeds for the Soul in 2013 to help low-income families save money on their energy bills. Seeds for the Soul makes renewable energy and home energy efficiency upgrades affordable by connecting households with free energy assessments, incentives, and financing that reduces or even eliminates the costs. And since its founding, Seeds for the Soul has helped support more than 1,000 households, and I would also add that Julie has helped take the Seeds for the Soul model and replicate it in some other communities around Oregon, which is huge. So, both Julie and Nancy have been deeply involved in the Electric Coaches Training Program. That's right, Electric Coaches Training Program through Electrify Now. And as coaches, they provide assistance in electrification of homes to households of all income levels. So at this time, I'd like to turn the microphone over to Nancy. Please give her a warm welcome.
going to adjust the mic because I'm tall, 5'4". And that is only,
5'1".
and I have,
When you
That's
first
okay.
wake up in the morning.
okay. I want to
Can't-
start by saying.
Can't hear very well back, in the back, can't hear very well in the back.
Remember, you have to practically eat it.
Just hold it and see.
Always,
Sorry, I thought I had adjusted it.
there, can you hear me?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, good. Much of the information I'm going to talk about tonight is on this handout, which is over on the table there. And I tell you that because I don't want you to have to spend all your time trying to take notes. Now, that's how I felt in January of this year. The tax credits were gone, everything, all my handouts was changed. Tariffs were making solar and everything else more and more expensive. Now, it's no secret that there are plenty of bad news coming out these days, including the soaring price of both gas and electricity. The good news is that the higher prices go, the more attractive heat pumps and solar panels are that disconnect you from those prices. Would you click the button, please? And right now, Energy Trust of Oregon, ETO for short, has a new solar incentive. $2,500 per home, paid directly to your contractor. You don't have to wait like you did with the tax credits until the next April to not have to pay taxes. And there are no forms to fill out. Your contractor takes care of all of that. Now, there's also a battery incentive included. $288 per kilowatt hour to a cap of 3,600. And next. Coming on June 15th, which is coming right up, Oregon Solar and Storage is reopening temporarily. They found another $1.1 million worth of funding, but that's enough to fund about 220 projects because this funding is capped at $5,000. So that means you have to move quickly if you want this one. Low and moderate income owners also get $1.80 per watt, up to 60% of the cost, which is also capped at $5,000. And that's about a 2.7 kilowatt system. High income folks can get the ETO 2,500 plus 20 cents a watt, and that's lower because they also get the 2,500. Up to 40% of the cost and also kept at 5,000. So that's about another 1,400 if you're looking at a regular sort of usual 7 kilowatt system. Next. So why batteries? First, of course, you buy a battery to bridge any power outage. But batteries are going to become crucial if, or more likely when, Pacific Power moves to time of use rates, where they buy solar power at a daytime rate of 10 cents a kilowatt hour and sell it back to you in the evening between 5 and 9 at 28 cents a kilowatt hour. So you would use a battery bridge those expensive 5 to 9 hours and not have to pay that exorbitant 28 cents a kilowatt hour. Pacific Power already has a version of this, just as I just described, that you can sign up for. And when I called them and said, who on earth would want to sign up for that? The reply was, well, suppose you have a boutique dairy farm. I cannot even begin to suppose that. Okay, next. Now, there's also community solar. You're renting a panel in some farmer's field, no roof required, and no upfront cost. Now, the cost savings are fairly low, unless you qualify for LMI. 10%, 15%, in that range. But it's worth doing if you don't have a roof or a place to put solar panels. Community solar is actually very popular in Oregon, and it fills up fast. Currently, there's only one that is accepting new customers with the wonderful name of Shoestring Solar.
Two.
They're accepting customers now. They won't be actually online until this fall of this year. And 6 others are listed as coming soon. So, you know, if you're interested in community solar, you're going to have to do some work. Next.
Were you gonna talk
Balcony?
about balcony solar?
What?
Balcony solar? Were you gonna talk about that?
I am, and you're
there's more.
supposed to
Okay,
keep questions for after.
sorry. Okay, all right.
Okay. Now, balcony solar is not legal in Oregon yet. It needs legislative and UL lab certification. But there's no installation with these things. You just set it up. You can put it anywhere you want. You can hang it on a wall. You can set it on a flat roof. You can presumably tie it to the roof. I don't know. But you just set it up and you can plug it into any outlet. Now, this picture is a 1,200 kilowatt system, so it's not much. But still, cost about $2,500, but it's coming down. Now, next. This is a graph of our solar use. You'll notice that both graphs are the same, except that one's bigger than the other. When we first moved here in 2016, electricity cost 10 cents a kilowatt. Now, the way I reckon it, it costs 16 cents. Now, Pacific Power will tell you it's 7 cents. You don't want to believe Pacific Power. Here's the thing. It costs 7 cents a kilowatt hour for the energy. And then they charge you another 7 cents to deliver it. And then they charge you another cent for energy trust. And then they charge you another cent and a half for what they're calling public purpose and some taxes. So that, in my mind, ends up being 16.5 cents per kilowatt hour, because it's collected on every single kilowatt that you have. Now, solar is valuable in another sense as well. In 2019, Zillow did a study that said that any home with a moderate amount of solar panels sells for 4.1% more than a comparable home without solar. Now, with our current home prices, that's a chunk of change. And in 2016, it was enough that I could take that 4.1% and multiply it by the median cost of a home in Corvallis. And realize that if you did get that 4.1%, that was enough to pay for the solar panels that we had just bought. Woo! With about $22 and some odd cents left over. And so, you know, that's another thing to keep in mind, that the solar panels do something for the value of your house. Now, with the current home market, I'm not so sure what that means in today's chaotic market, because anybody will buy anything if they can begin to afford it. But things may change in coming. And next. Now let's switch to the economics of replacing existing equipment. Ideally, replacing it with heat pumps. Your best energy investment is any equipment that is coming to the end of its life, preferably before it fails monstrously and floods your basement. Since you need to replace it anyway, the extra cost of the clean, green version is the cost minus the cost of just doing the same old fossil fuel equipment. Bill Gates calls that the green premium. Yes. Now, whether you're trying to save money by creating your own electricity with free sunshine, or by cutting the amount of electricity that you use by replacing old equipment with heat pumps, you're breaking loose from those rising energy costs. If the green cost is higher than the same old fossil fuel cost, that green premium is the only part of the purchase price that saves you money in ongoing operation over the next 10, 20 years. And it's the only part that you need to count when you're figuring out your payback time, because you would have to replace it anyway. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Good. Next. Now, why do we emphasize heat pumps? Well, here's the lighting bulb graph of residential energy values. And you can see that in 2000, at the beginning, it was the highest use of energy in the U.S. in residential use. I'm not sure how much. It's a great graph, isn't it? Because see what's happened? It's come down to 6.
I need to take, you do have just a typo, it says 2020, but that's supposed to be 2000, right? And then
Oh,
05,
yeah.
10, 50,
Yeah,
okay.
That's supposed to be 2,000.
So that's over a 25-year period.
Read it, it's 2,000.
You're talking about lighting or heat?
Yeah.
So
So,
which one is the highest? It looks like it's,
It used to be lighting, is the point.
it used to be here,
oh, and then we got those, whatever.
and now
light
it's
bulbs.
down.
And now it's,
Yeah. And you can't see it on this graph. And I couldn't make the graph bigger. But what I'm gonna tell you is that now the first 2/5 uses of energy that end up right about that lighting graph, that end up right about that lighting graph tail, are cooling, heating, water heating, refrigeration, and dryers.
I never use a clothes dryer.
Ever, anywhere. Oh, good for you.
Well, good.
That's discipline,
Solar
man.
is the only clothes dryer that's
Yeah.
better than a heat pump. Okay, next. Here's why that's important. The vertical axis here is the ratio of energy in to energy out. And our fossil fuel equipment is limited by that red line of the law of conservation of energy. You remember that from high school? Which restricts all gas and all electric equipment to 1:1. You can't get more out than you put in. And heat pumps do not don't work under that. The law of conservation of energy doesn't apply to heat pumps. And so there's the first long bar there is my heat pump water heater. 3.5 units of energy out for every unit of energy in. The second one is my heat pump, heat/AC, 4.5. Now, various brands and models of heat pumps do a little different thing. But the point is here that we can cut 2/3 of the energy that we're using to heat and cool our homes. And of all 5 of those heat pump things, she's just told me 5 minutes, so I'm gonna. And the reason is that heat pumps don't create energy. They create a cool stream and a warm stream of air. Well, they don't create it. They pull in a bunch of air and push it out as a cold stream and a warm stream. Next. And here's the proof. Energy guides from 3 water heaters, all 30 gallons, 50 gallons, all the same manufacturer. The calculation is for a family of 4, U.S. average use. And the more hot water you use, the more you save. It's an interesting proposition. Next. ETO has increased their instant discount for a 50-gallon water heater, none other. You can't buy a 40-gallon, will cost you twice as much. From $700 to $1,200. Home Depot has a rebrand. Lowe's carries A.O. Smith. The discount is taken at the register, and you can't get the discount on online orders. The problem with that is that last Saturday, Corvallis didn't have a single one in. They're supposed to be getting 2 yesterday, 1 more on June 8th. Albany has 1 in stock. And Home Depot actually, when I talked to them on Saturday, thought that discount was $1,000 instead of $1,200. So you gotta know what you're doing, you gotta advocate for yourself. With the discount, the total cost is $699 instead of $1,899. And that's right now the best incentive that we've got. If your water heater needs to be replaced anyway, that green premium is essentially zero. Installation's a separate cost. Look for an installation that can be both plumbing and electrical. You don't get a 1 to 20 volt one to plug in. It doesn't get the incentive, and it doesn't have any backup. Next. That's the outdoor part of my heat pump, AC system, water and dryers. The indoor part is an air handler and backup. If you have a new gas furnace that has a variable speed air handler, you can keep it as backup if you enjoy getting a bill from Northwest Natural. Next. Duct systems also qualify for the $2,500. These small room or area systems do not, but they're much less expensive. They're in the high hundreds, a couple of $1,000 range. They only do an area or a city.
Yeah.
But beware, equipment that looks the same is often out. Oh, actually, heat only, cool only are expensive to run electrical equipment. So be sure that you get what you want. Next. This is the next to the last slide. Okay. 5 things I want you to know. They need lots of air. So the heat pump goes in a garage or a fairly large space. The heat pump AC unit. If you don't have a garage, there are things you can do.
It still works.
But, the AC unit has to have a whole outlet of air. The heat pump efficiency slows a bit in extreme weather. Cold climate heat pumps that work down to -5 degrees Fahrenheit are not really needed there. But ODOE, the Oregon Department of Energy, will give you $1,000 incentive if you install one. And that's the only one, the only incentive that there is at the moment, unless you're LMI. LMI meaning low or moderate income. And as of yesterday, there's a new list for low and moderate income limits, and it's really, really generous. You want to check it because you may be surprised. Gas burns at 2,770 degrees. Your house wants to be 70, 72.
Well, there's not gonna be enough time between pre-Q.
And so that's a big part of what the heat pumps are doing for you. And here's the last slide. So, is this Rocky Mountain Institute declaration still true? Can we afford to be generous to the planet and to the next generation of our grandchildren? And we know how we're grandchildren. The good news is we can still move ahead with good free help available. As Annette was saying, I do the home retrofit clinics. Julie does the Seeds for the Soul, which zeroes in on LMI issues, and it gets really, really complicated. You don't want to try to do it yourself. And of course, Electrify Oregon offers the free coaching program. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Julie.
Well done, Nancy. That was a lot of information, and she's such an expert. I always learn from her when she presents. So here we go for Seeds for the Soul. Yeah, with the cost of energy going up, it is more important than ever to improve your home's energy efficiency. Seeds for the Soul began helping people with low to moderate incomes access funding for solar on their homes, and in 2018 the solar industry incentives dropped out, and then we didn't know what to do with ourselves. So then we worked with Energy Trust of Oregon, and they helped us to understand how to utilize the same programming we had before to help people do energy efficiency upgrades. And the idea is exactly what Nancy was saying. When you make your next purchase for the next thing, if you buy a greener thing, it saves you more money. And so that green premium is a real deal, and that's what drives our work. There are a lot of programs out there to help reduce the cost of energy upgrades. For income qualified customers, there's very generous incentives. And if you're not income qualified, there's still really good incentives. So we'll look at those. Energy Trust of Oregon, you saw Nancy showed you, there's a 1-cent surcharge on everyone's bill. Everyone's bill. And Energy Trust in the 2000 teens created incentives that were generic and non-specific. Just if you wanted to buy something, you had to invest this much, and this is the incentive you got. And they did a study in 2018 on their own practices, and they realized that many people who have less efficient homes are paying the most, and they tend to be the people with lower incomes. They have the highest energy burden, and they're not accessing the incentives. So when we started to look at how to utilize these incentives better, it was the same time that Energy Trust was realizing we're not hitting everybody that's paying. And so they are trying to butter the bread all the way across and make sure everyone gets served. So in 2018, they tiered their incentives so that if you have an income of 80% to 150%, there's certain kinds of incentives. If you're 60 to 80%, there's certain kinds of incentives. And if you're at 60% AMI and lower, you receive sometimes no-cost purchases for your home to upgrade. Oregon Department of Energy also has energy programs. That's the solar one that just is coming out on June 15th. That will be gone in 24 hours. Talk to your solar installer today. Get on their docket if they're not already spent out, but go try. Oregon Department of Energy will also be administering another program that is soon to hit, we hope. It was one of the ones that got interrupted by our present administration, but we just got a notice yesterday from the U.S. Department of Energy that the Homes in Here program, and I'll talk about it this much, will land in Oregon. Energy Trust and Odo are preparing for that to happen in July. So we'll see if it really happens. Consumers Power has smaller incentives because they're more independent and tiny compared to Pacific Power and PGE. And then there are some bill reduction programs as well. So these are the new income qualifications in Benton County. Seeds for the Soul serves 6 counties: Benton, Lane, Lincoln, Lynn, Marion, and Polk. And you can see like a 3-person household in Corvallis, if your income's between $90,000 and $168,750, you qualify for some of the incentives for moderate, low and moderate income. And so we'll go look through those. And you'll see it differs in different counties because the cost of living is higher in different counties. So memorize that, identify where you're at and your income. And if you're below that, there's another whole tiered system we'll show you in just a moment. The solar is coming. I just talked about that a little bit. The $2,500 rebate, and then there's a $5,250 rebate, and those can be stacked. Oh, I'm sorry. One's from Odo and one's, Nancy covered it, but if you want to learn more, just sign up for your home energy assessment and we'll help you with that. But what I want to share is my personal solar journey. So in 2009, I bought a 2.1 kilowatt system, and the cost for 2.1 kilowatts was $24,000. Now, I can't afford that. The incentives were really rich, but I think I ended up paying about $11,000 for 2 kilowatts. In 2012, that didn't run my whole household, so I had recovered some more funds and my pay scale went up, so I decided I'm going to buy 3.2 more. And 3.2 kilowatts then cost $18,000. And you can see the kilowatts it creates in here, or the savings. Anyway, and then in 2026, I added 2 electric vehicles, took out my gas stuff. I have a fully electric home, and so I'm covering only a quarter of my electric costs in a month. And we added a unit to our home for someone to rent. And so our usage does not match anymore. So we're going to pull these old panels off and put new ones on. And 9.4 kilowatts costs only $27,000. And with the incentives applied, it costs even less. And so it's worth it. And it'll pay itself back over, about 11 or 12 years. And I'm paying myself. So it's like the difference between renting or owning your home. I'm going to pay the bank, but I'm paying myself for my home. When I own my own energy on my roof, I'm paying myself, and as Nancy pointed out, it's a 16% gain on the resale of my home, too. So we're going to be fully covered at the end of this year with this new solar panels. The other thing, too, that's really exciting is there's a new inverter out, and we're going to get one of the first ones in Corvallis that will be bilateral feed. And so when we plug in our electric car, that can be our battery storage. And so we can run it out of our car into this inverter once. It's still not UL certified, but it will be. So we'll have our backup battery will be our 2 electric cars on the driveway. So it's super exciting, and I think it's still a good deal. And I'm in a position that I can afford it, so yeah, it's a good deal. The next thing, insulation is your biggest bang for your buck. And non-income qualified insulation, for attic insulation, you get $1.25 per square foot. Now we know from everything we do, we serve a lot of households. It costs about $6,000 to remove everything from your attic and put in your new insulation. But with that $1,875 off, it makes it more affordable. But then on average, you save $1,200 a year. So within 3 years, you've paid back, and then you will just experience a $1,200 savings for your attic insulation. Wall insulation, you can see the same sort of dynamic happening there. With an average 1,500 square foot home, you get $2,250 in incentive. On a $4,000 cost on average, that saves you about $400 a year for wall insulation. And then floor insulation, you get 75 cents per square foot, but that's $11.25 towards your insulation costs. And again, you'll see some savings on that grade premium. And so over time, we experimented on my sister's house. She just moved up from California, bought an older home. And I said, you know, we don't know how this insulation stuff works. Can we put insulation in your home? She paid the cost, but we wanted to see what the real savings was. And about 3 months later, she goes, I have to tell you, my energy bill, I'm saving $100 a month. And her house was much quieter because she had zero insulation upstairs. So that was a good kind of testimony to that. And we hear that from our clients all the time. Heat pump water heaters are the next biggest bang for your buck. As Nancy was saying, it's an air exchange, and it's got a coolant, and it works opposite of your refrigerator. It's taking ambient air, it hits the coolant, which are the, what do you call that? It's a gaseous
You
liquid.
heat with the coolant, yeah.
Yeah, and then it'll heat your water for you. Ours is in the garage. The garage is one of the coolest spaces in the house because when it's heating the water from the ambient air and it's throwing out cooled air to exchange that heat. So anyway, if you're at the 150% AMI that we had just done in that classification, you get an extra 700, or no, I didn't see the 1200, so this is new. It used to be 700 was taken off at the box store at the point of sale, or from your ETO certified installer. So if you go on their website, they have trade allies that they have vetted and they do high quality work, and Energy Trust comes back and checks their work. And so you know you're getting a good deal. So 1,200 through your certified installer or at your box store. Income qualified households get another, at the 61% to 79%, get an extra $240. Sometimes that's to help cover the upgrade on the electrical panel. And then if you're in an income qualified household that's at 60% AMI and lower, it's a no-cost option for you. So Energy Trust pays for the whole thing. And you can see those income qualifications at 60% AMI in this list. So if you identify yourself there, then you know that you're going to get some of the no-cost options as I go forward. So heat pump water heaters, generally in a family of 4, will save you $360 a year. The more you use it, the more you save. And that's probably gone up because that was based on the 11 cents, now it's 16 cents. So it's probably closer to $450 a year. These were in the wrong order. Income qualified insulation gets a higher incentive, and so I'm just going to leave this up here. I won't read them all, but you can see on that average cost, you're getting a lot more incentive, and so your upfront cost is lower. And if you're in that 60% AMI, it's usually no cost. One qualifier is if you have mold or vermin in your crawl spaces, that'll cost a little bit more. Energy Trust does not cover that all the time. We're working on it though. So how does Seeds for the Soul work? Seeds for the Soul, if you sign up with us, we will come out and do a home energy assessment. It takes 30 to 45 minutes. We show up at your home and we look at your heating devices, we look at any water leakage anywhere, we look at your insulation, and we'll look at how your water heating is. We also might ask you what your typical bills are and go from there. We helped you, and then we'll provide you a printout of a personal plan for you based on your home and what we discovered, and the best incentives from all over the place, whatever incentives we can find, and we'll help you prioritize how you will access an energy efficiency upgrade. We'll help you obtain a bid from our contractors list that we work with very often and have high trust with. We get you pre-approval through Energy Trust, and then the project gets completed, and we send an invoice to Energy Trust. We pay, if you're income qualified, we pay the installer. You don't have to come up with any upfront. And then Energy Trust reimburses us. And so it relieves you of that tension. It also helps the smaller installers because if they're waiting 3 months for that incentive to come back, it makes a hardship for them to carry your costs, and they can't go do their next job. So we're helping emerging installers as well at the same time. Let me see. And then we get the incentive back and it replenishes our fund, and we just do that for the next person. Our funding revolves about 4 times in a year, and so we'll show you how that works too. So we call this our rapid revolve or our bridge loan program. And it's not really a loan. We're just bridging the cost for you, and we're a community partner funded group with Energy Trust, and so we have that trust built with them. I'm going to share that community support helps make Seeds for the Soul successful. When we started out, we were doing solar. We had 0 funding except for My Life Savings, went into our first 2 projects. My knees kind of buckled when I first committed to it. It's like, oh, I don't know if this works. It worked. And all the funding that I put in came back. So then we went public and asked people to provide funding for us. And the bulk of the people that responded, I just will never forget the day that I'm sitting at my dining room table and 8 of our 10 funders, who I had just met, really, wrote $10,000 and $20,000 checks to Seeds for the Soul as loans. And we were able to loan that out and start our first revolve loan fund. And they've all been paid back. We've had nearly 1,000 clients, and we've experienced 0 default. And the reason we experienced 0 default, yeah, it's pretty awesome. The reason we experience 0 default is because we build relationships, both with our funders, but also with our clients. And we make sure they understand where this money comes from. It comes from the community, as well as the city of Corvallis. So we created this unique funding strategy, and it's exploding. It's amazing. With this bridge fund, as I said, it revolves 4 times in a year. We were able to bring in $1.2 million of ETO funding for our clients in our 6 counties last year, and we're on track to exceed that this year. And that's from that same fund that just revolves over and over and over. It never depletes. You get to have your cake and eat it too. Mom always said you couldn't, but you can on this. So it never depletes until one of our loan providers wants their loan back. So we have a couple providers of loans that are doing substantial amounts. And actually right now we're a little stressed because one of our biggest funders is in the solar industry, which is on a downturn. And that person said, I kind of need that big check back, which we need 6 months. And so if you say, I want that in 6 months, we can pull that back out. So if anybody here wants to provide a loan to us and let us run it that way, please talk to me. So we need to rebuild that, but we also have other funders that are just going to let it revolve over and over and over and over. I'm going to tell you that I put $10,000 in of my own personal savings. It's no longer in the savings account, but it's doing good. So I started that 3 years ago, and my $10,000 has revolved 12 times. So it's done $120,000 of good work, right? And so I don't plan on taking it out anytime soon because I don't need it yet. But as soon as I need it, I'll be able to get it back. Yeah, so that's really cool. I love that part. 5 minutes, okay. What to watch for in the future incentives. So the Inflation Reduction Act was the thing that Joe Biden signed in 2022, and it isn't dead yet. So like I said, all 50 states, their senators and governors informed the energy czar in power right now that they really need the Homes in Here program, which is a home energy rebate program. And US DOE just announced yesterday that they will move forward. And so, like I said, Oregon has applied for it, and it should land here in July. And that has something for everybody. It's efficiency rebates, it hits all income levels, it includes a formal energy audit and a home modelings, and you get a home energy score at the end of it. And what you have to prove with that energy score is that any upgrades we do will cause a 20% to 35% decrease in fossil fuels. And so when you can cut your CO2 that way, then you get higher incentives. So you get moderate incentives at the 20% to 35%, but if you can go 35% and up on savings, then you get the higher incentive. It is tiered as well, so if you're lower income, it's mostly no cost. We also get to stack these with energy trusts. So CPI, is anybody here served by CPI? Yeah. So their incentives are smaller. Well, this will, I dare say it, trump the CPI situation in that these will be accessible for CPI people to up to $10,000 and $14,000 if you're lower income. And then you can purchase any of the things that we've talked about. Insulation, heat pump water heaters, induction cook stove tops, anything to get you off fossil fuels. And so I'm hoping we'll have another series like this around September or October, because I think that's when it'll be really running flush. Seeds for the Soul was just acquired, what do we call it, permission to serve both Earth Advantage, which is all the CPI, anything outside of Energy Trust region, as well as Energy Trust across the entire state. And so we'll be able to access these homes in here for everyone. Another thing I want you to look out for is, I don't know, has anybody here, show your hand if you have heard about PCEF, Portland Clean Energy Fund? Portlanders, they, 4 years ago, on their ballot, decided to tax any company in the Portland region that makes $1 billion or more in profit. And they tax them at 1%, which is $10 million per company. They have over $1.7 billion right now to run energy efficiency programs all through Portland area and some of their adjacent communities, because a lot of people travel into Portland to work. And anyway, so Eugene is trying to recreate the same thing. It would be ESEF there. And I just want to plant the seed, because why not Corvallis? Why not? So these are kind of around the corner and coming your way. So I just really want you to be aware that we are not stuck. We are a progressive state. Energy Trust of Oregon was created by us in 2002, and it is a nonprofit itself. It does not work for Pacific Power or for PGE or for Northwest Natural. It is paid through them through an agreement, but it's its own thing. So I want to stay positive. I truly believe that energy efficiency and electrification of your homes is a path to a sustainable world. And it's really important that those of us that can see it aspire to it and take up these opportunities you have to learn more and access these. And then just last, how you can help, sign up for one of Nancy's retrofit clinics, or sign up for your first home energy assessment with us tonight, or provide a loan or donation to Seeds for the Soul Bridge Fund. Support the Climate Action Advisory Board, which tries to influence the city, and it's under city charter or city contract, I don't know, what is it?
It's an advisory.
It's an advisory board that they can take seriously or not, but we can empower it even more. And they're having some turnover right now, and they need some people on their board. Also, I'd say donate to the Corvallis Sustainability Coalition's Shift Together campaign. And then the biggest thing, honestly, is talk, share, communicate with your friends and neighbors about the importance of electrification and energy efficiency, and send them our direction. So thank you for being here, and we got some time for Q&A.
Thank you so much, Julie. And Nancy, you need to come up to the table. And what we're going to do is, it's your turn now to ask questions. And you may either raise your hand and ask a question orally, or... Okay. Or Bree will give you a little index card, and you can write your question down on the card, and she will collect those. And yes, Julie. Oh, you guys need a mic.
I can use my gym voice. Get to the back. Yeah. You don't have the gym voice anymore.
I don't.
There you go.
All right, so who has a question? Hey, Renee.
What, if anything, available for renters right now?
I'm so glad you said that, that's what I realized. The renters can inquire, but it's really important that the landlord agree. Seeds for the Soul can do up to quadplexes, but not stacked housing. But your renter's income can qualify them the same way for no costs, energy efficiency upgrades. Or as a renter, you can request that from your landlord to get those upgrades as long as they are income qualified. So it's a great deal.
The renter would be income qualified.
The renter is income qualified. So the landlord is not, doesn't matter, as long as the renter is.
Yeah, I'm a renter, and that happened with my landlord. They used.
You have a good landlord,
Yeah,
right?
they used our income, and we got a heat pump for both our, we're in a duplex.
And there's a heat pump program, if I'm remembering right, which may not be, that is still open for rentals and new construction, but not for homeowners anymore. And this is again what Julie was telling you, that we get a bunch of money and it goes in 24 hours, it goes in 5 days. You really have to be on top of this. Who was it that has a CPI?
It was Susan and,
Okay,
oh yeah.
CPI will sell you the same heat pump delivered for $169. It's really a good buy. But if you're not a CPI customer, you don't get it.
Is it that floor one?
What? No.
The heat pump.
Oh, it's a Rheem 50-gallon
Oh,
Heat pump water unit.
heat pump water heater. I'm sorry.
Did anybody want a card so they could write down their question? Anybody? All right, Ruby next.
I just wanted to know, where do you put your heater, your heat pump, if you don't have a garage?
Heat pump water heater. So where do you put your heat pump water heater if you don't have a garage? There's some things you can do. We can vent it. So I have a friend who got a heat pump water heater, and it's in her kitchen in a recessed area that has also her washer and dryer. And we ran a pipe and vented it to the outdoors so it's getting ambient air. And then also we can vent the cool air out. Some people are really clever and they put a Y on that one. And in the summer, they let the cool air come into the house. So it has to have some ambient air and unconditioned air coming into it. And so that's why the vents. And she just didn't mind having the pipe in that space. It worked. So might not work here, Stitch. We can talk.
Yeah. If you have a large, any kind of a large area in your basement, for example, all it needs 700 cubic feet of air. And how you figure that, you don't have to take out your chair that you sit in there.
7 feet.
Yeah,
It's about 7 feet around it.
It's half a garage. It's essentially 10 by 20 by 7, if I'm remembering right, which I may not be, but you guys all have math skills. I'm sorry, what?
Would a carport work?
Would a carport be okay as a place?
Well, that's an interesting question.
Because we don't have
As a general rule, we put those things inside, and so you'd have to be sure that it was protected. But I would ask the contractor that question.
I think you can build a little shed around it, but it has to be vented. So you have venting panels, and that would work.
Rick, did you have a question? I saw your hand earlier.
Oh, yeah, I have a question. I have a place in the country, so I have an acre of ground. And I also have, amazingly, an excavator. And what I'm interested in is geothermal heat pump.
Yes.
And I'm wondering, is there any resources in town for that kind of thing? Geothermal?
We've done one geothermal heat pump.
Julie, can you repeat the question?
Yeah, oh, thank you, yes. What about a geothermal heat pump? Because you could dig your own trenching.
Yeah, dig trenches
Yeah.
and then put tubes in the ground. And
Mhm.
instead of air-to-air heat pump, you're using air-to-earth,
Right.
kind of. You're using the Earth's
55 degrees steady
55
heats.
degree,
Yes, so it
yeah.
helps you bring it up to 55 in the cold weather, and it helps you bring it down in the hot weather. Yeah, so what it does is it does piping underneath in a field. The air goes through, and then it still goes to a heat pump, but it's preconditioned. It's better. It's super efficient.
super
And
efficient.
so give us a ring and sign up for your home energy assessment. We did one this year.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, be a little careful if you have a lot of clay and it's expanding and contracting, you need to really think about how that's gonna try to pull that part of it apart.
So that's clay.
Other questions?
You talked about the possibilities of the HERE program, and I'm wondering if you have any idea what sort of numbers you're talking about, what sort of benefits?
Can you repeat the question?
Yeah, the question is the HERE, homes and HERE programs, do we have the numbers? We chose not to bring that tonight, but it is, you're able to access it at the U.S. Department of Energy. Or again, give us a call, because we do have those, but we're very careful about not raising false hopes, and until it lands, we decided not to present it tonight, but I did want people to be aware, because when it lands, it's a really good thing if you want to get on it. So again, sign up and we'll come out and show you. It's kind of mean, but
Yeah, we've been waiting for that program since 2022, so we can be excused for being a little
Wary.
wary, yeah.
Other questions?
they're substantial though. Just, you know, thousands.
Yes.
What's the program that that Nancy was talking about that expires tomorrow, you said?
I'm sorry, I didn't get the question.
Oh, what was the program that expires tomorrow?
What program expires tomorrow? Was there a program you mentioned that expires tomorrow?
You were talking about 24 hours,
Yeah, it will.
but
I'll tell you.
Okay.
yeah,
Is that working?
I think that's,
You hit the button.
There's a solar, that reopening of the solar by ODO, Oregon Department of Energy. Energy trusts, incentives don't deplete very fast because we're constantly paying in, and the cost just went up, and it's a percentage. And so they actually gained funding when the prices went up. And so you'll always get those, but when we can stack them with Oregon Department of Energy funding for different things, and that's the part that gets spent really fast. They just added the 1.5 million. Half of that will go to low income and moderate income households, and the other half is going to regular income or higher income households. And that's the one, if you want solar, you need to engage an installer like yesterday. Because that's gonna get spent out, 220 jobs will be gone like that. Yeah. The other one though, that was for multifamily, is the heat pump deployment program. It was called CHIP DIP. That went residential, and that went past all borders and could do CPI as well as energy trust regions. The multifamily still has some funding, and the Tillamook Astoria area still has funding. It just didn't get spent as fast there.
yeah, it's really a matter of the funding goes fast. Because there's a lot of people in Oregon, and a lot of smart people in Oregon, hallelujah.
The funding for homes in here, when it comes, I'm going positive, when it comes, is millions and millions of dollars, and they expect it will last about 3 to 6 years. 6 on the long end because we don't have enough energy auditors and enough installers to do it faster. But, 3 if people jump into that industry and start moving it faster. So you will still want to know.
So I have a basic question. So these programs that you expect the money to be gone quickly, does that mean we have to be really proactive and constantly be going to certain websites to check and see when the incentives are available? I mean, how are we supposed to find out that these quick-to-go programs are off and running and we need to jump on them?
That's the problem. But one of the best things you can do is, if you're interested in, say, a heat pump AC system, find a contractor, figure out what system you're actually interested in. Tell him that the minute that an incentive comes along, you want to know about it, because they're going to hear about it first. And the way that all these Oregon things are set up is that your contractor reserves the funding so that the contractor and you know that the funding is there. You know that if it takes you 6 days to install this thing, then that funding will still be there even if new funding is gone. Does that make sense? Yeah. So I think one of the easiest ways is to just make a good friend of a contractor.
As well as sign up for home energy assessment. You get sick of doing that. But we get insider information too. From Energy Trust at least, less from Odo. But we know of things that are coming up that they aren't ready to make public yet, but they might warn us and say, hey, in 2 months this is going to hit. And we keep a CRM, a client registration of anybody we've done an energy assessment with. And so you might put insulation in right now, but you know you can't afford a heat pump. But we'll call you back when the heat pump stuff hits and say, hey, remember you wanted that? Time's right now. And so we have 1,000 clients in our listing that we know who to go back to.
Thank you. That's really key information. So make friends with a contractor and sign up for a home energy assessment. Okay, great.
Where can you do that? You can do that on the Seeds for the Soul website. You can access it through Shift Together at the Corvallis Sustainability Coalition's website as well. And Jeanette's back there with a QR code. We have a QR code that you can just click on and you can just immediately sign up. We also have a way you can sign up with paper and pen. And Nancy's accessible because with Nancy's Retrofit Clinic, you learn how your systems work. We're going to let a contractor teach you that, but Nancy gives you in-depth knowledge that's yours forever once you learn it.
Well, what I try to do is have enough knowledge about all the possible things you can do to help you decide which you want to do and which makes sense in terms of your house, and a little bit of how you're going to pay for the other thing.
I also want to let you know that we also do moderate and upper income home energy assessments. We don't provide the funding, we don't handhold as much, but we would come out to a moderate and upper income household and do provide the same services, and we use the same plan and a prioritized plan that fits you and your budget. But then you're on your own. But with our contractor list, we'll leave that with you, with our trusted contractors. So we'll do both.
Any other questions?
At no cost.
At no cost to you. Yeah.
So, speaking of trusted contractors, wanted to invite you in just 2 days, on Thursday evening, we're having a home energy fair from 6 to 8 p.m. at Arnold Park. And that's that little park on Harrison Avenue as you're going out of town towards 53rd Street. It's right before you get to the Church of the Latter-day Saints, the Mormon church. That little park on the corner there. And these are the exhibitors who are going to be there. And some of those trusted contractors are going to be there that you could talk to, as well as, some nonprofits that can help out as well. So we hope to see you there, and you should have gotten a little flyer on your chair when you came in about that.
And Annette's working, Julie and I are too.
Yeah, and I wanted to introduce to you, you've been focused on residential, but some of you may have a workplace or a faith community or a nonprofit that you are affiliated with that has a building. And at the back of the room is Jeanette Hardison, waving her hand, and she is the program director for our Saving Green program. Jeanette, do you want to just give people a,
Sure.
2-sentence description of what Saving Green
Well, and I'll
is?
even just read it and make it super simple. It is a free sustainability assistance program for workplaces.
Sure, I hear you.
Absolutely. Thank you. It is also no cost to you, assistance program for anybody that has a workplace, small to medium sized, that would like us to come in. Us is me. It's a small program. But we do work directly with Energy Trust of Oregon analysts, who I will bring in to look at your equipment, to look at your lights, and help you figure out if there's ways to reduce your footprint at your workplace or at your church, at your kids' school, if it's not the public schools, the private schools, and there's so many different places that we have helped in town.
So many.
Oh my gosh, I'm in the process of counting. Just this last 9 months was about 75. But it's been hundreds and hundreds of places in town that you've been in that we've facilitated a free, a no-cost lighting retrofit, for example. Or I've come in and helped them connect with other things like water heater incentives and upgrading their insulation. Insulation is always one of the biggest bangs for your buck, especially this year. So in summary, you can get my help for energy efficiency, but also water efficiency, and I can help you connect with solar, again, in the workplace or someplace that you go to that is where there are people working. Waste prevention, recycling, composting, hazardous waste prevention, green purchasing, water conservation, even rainwater catchment systems. If there's something that you would like to change in your workplace or the workplace you're affiliated with, that has to do with reducing waste of any of these kinds. It's something that I can help you with, or at least connect you with people who can, if I cannot. So just let me know. I'll be at the back. You can sign up. I've got a couple coming up. Some assessments coming up in June, and then some in August. And yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Jeanette. So, I want to say thank you to Nancy and Julie, and thank you to you all for coming tonight. And please stick around. Come over to the tables on the side here and pick up handouts and sign up for our home energy assessment. And I hope to see at least some of you at the Home Energy Fair on Thursday. Thank you so much.